Do I give lasers on a day off? I don't know.
I mean,
where do the rules stay on
they
that?
won the last time, so they're still winners. So therefore, winners get lasers. That's wise. Oh yeah, there you go. Hey, there you go. Welcome to the final 8:30 Blue review. Marcus Grant is not available today with that big Micah Parsons trade yesterday to the Packers. He has to do other things over there at NFL Network. But we do have Mr. Jeff Spiegel. What's going on, Jeff? How are you?
Pleasure to be here. 2-game lead in the division, baby.
Look at that. Of course, Parker Bell. And then just real fast, the Blue Review is always brought to you by LAX. LAX changes are arriving daily, transforming the travel experience and saving guests time. For more information, go to flylax.com /transforming LAX. Don't want to forget that portion of the whole read. So let's get right into it. I think I saw something from you, Jeff, today that I thought was interesting. I wanted to start with Ohtani anyway, but I saw something that you had a conversation, I think, on one of your shows on the Dodger Heads, maybe yesterday, that we've been sitting here talking that no matter what, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Snell are in there 1, 2, 3. That is your 3 rotation. Who is going to be that 4th or 5th guy? And is it going to be Ohtani or is it going to be Kershaw? But you're actually changing that discussion on your conversation. You're saying, is it going to be Glasnow or Kershaw, and that Ohtani is fully in already? He's one of the 3.
Yeah, I reject all of your assumptions about this argument, Greg, that Ohtani is I understand.
Oh, it's not an assumption.
Yeah.
You don't have Ohtani in?
I do have Ohtani in. No. I was saying I reject your notion that Ohtani is up for debate. I have Ohtani very clearly as the number 3 guy. I would say I have Glasnow very clearly as the number 4 guy, which surprises everybody because I am the king of Kershaw's mountain. And yet I think this speaks way more to how good Ohtani and Glasnow have been. I think with Glasnow and Ohtani, I know we have this tier. We did this on our show. We have Snell and Yamamoto in tier 1, and then we have Glasnow, Ohtani, and Kershaw in some order in tier number 2. When Ohtani, he had 9 strikeouts in 5 innings last night. He has 27 strikeouts in his last 15 and a third innings. Tyler Glasnow's been really good. These 2 guys are in the conversation for some of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, and they're pitching like it right now. And so it's all due respect to Clayton Kershaw. It is not a negative on Kershaw. It is simply there are teams that would die to have Ohtani or Glasnow as their number 1 in the postseason rotation.
Yeah. So, where are you on this, Parker? Because I'm actually shocked that Jeff has Kershaw out right now. That seems to me like that is a really loud keyboard, by the way.
Am I Steve Mason right now?
You are. Are you banging the keys? But either way, I didn't realize he's the biggest Kershaw guy I know, and I'm shocked that has Glasnow over him. I'm actually shocked that he has Ohtani not there, because Ohtani, he has to pitch on a day when you have an off day the next day, or you're going to lose his at bat. He's going to bat the next day. So where are you on all this?
Okay, well, the thing is though, it all depends on who you're playing. I think matchup wise, where you want Ohtani, because will it matter if you need that at bat coming up the next day? And also, I think I saw you tweet, Jeff, in the reply. It was I've got Glasnow for the rotation, a guy who is the biggest gap between overall vibes plus actual performance. So I liked what you said there, because all season long, Greg, we talked about Glasnow would upset us. And I get that he's been showing that he's still got the stuff, but he's really only going 5, kind of just trickling through. I think when it comes to vibes, that's a really good point. I know that baseball is actual data and statistics, but he's showing that hey, he doesn't really have the heart to go 7 like we've been asking everybody else to do. And I think that's what plays a factor in this playoff thing, because then you got to rely on the bullpen more if it is Glasnow pitching. Shohei looks like he's going to just go into the playoffs saying, I'm giving you all 7 of my pitches, and I am going to go as deep as I can, because he's just a competitor. And I want the competitor being the 3rd guy. So I think I lean with Jeff.
Yeah. So look, obviously, I am very much a proponent of Ohtani being in the rotation. What he did 2 nights ago was extraordinarily impressive. That he went 5 innings, 9 strikeouts, gave up the 1 home run, but he threw all 7 of his pitches. I believe it was the first time that he threw a splitter too, which is pretty insane, because it's the same pitch as as the slider, but it's 10 miles an hour slower. So it's keeping these guys completely off balance. He threw the curveball more than I've ever seen him throw a curveball. He wasn't just trying to blow you away. So I get it. Like, this guy is something that is incredible. The thing that, and Jeff, you know about this. I think we're very much in line in this, which is rare for us to be in line about something. Glasnow walks a lot of guys. And recently, he's been walking a lot of guys. You can't do that in the postseason. So I see, is that part of why your reason is for moving him down in that?
No, honestly, I think it's just because of how good I think Ohtani is. Like, I think you could make a case that Ohtani belongs in tier 1 with Yamamoto and with Blake Snell just because of how dominant he is. And I think a lot of this conversation, to understand it, it's to remind myself of how different pitching in the postseason is compared to differing in pitching in the regular season. Like, yes, walks are magnified, but strikeouts are magnified. Like, strikeouts are the currency of success from a starting pitcher's perspective in the postseason. And the example I gave on our show last night was, think about that game against Nick Lodolo the other night. Like, he was perfect for 3 innings. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball for a few months. And the Dodgers score 4 runs off of him. How? They get 1 legitimate single from Shohei Ohtani, 2 bloop singles, 2 seeing eye ground balls, and all of a sudden it's 4-1. Like, if you're allowing other teams to put the ball in play, you are just perpetually at risk of things like that happening. And so, as much as I love Kershaw, a strikeouts per 9 that starts with a 5 is just that's dangerous, playing with fire type stuff in the postseason. And if I have 4 guys that give me an option where the ERA is very similar, like Glasnow and Kershaw, ERA over the last 2 months is like 0.2 difference between the two, but one of those guys is striking out twice as many hitters as the other.
Right. So, okay, it's going to come down to the strikeouts over everything else. But I do want to know, before I get back to you, Parker, like, with Kershaw, if he's not going to be in the rotation, because we all know 4-man rotation in the postseason, really, even when it comes to the NLDS, it's really a 3 unless you really need to go to that 4 spot. So what do you do with Kershaw? Because we've seen he's not a bulk guy. He's not going to come in afterwards. He's not going to come out of the pen, I don't believe. But where do you see him landing? You're the Kersh guy, so we got to figure this part out.
I keep saying I think it's a souped up. No, he's not off. He's not off. Some people think he is, and I would say it wouldn't be like 100% astonishing, shocking if he was off because of what you just said. I think he is more valuable as a starter than he is as a reliever. I just think when we're talking about playoff bullpen, we're talking about a team that for now is not going to have to plan for any bullpen games. I think you can afford to have Clayton Kershaw as your extra pitcher, keeping in mind that Shohei Ohtani does not count as a pitcher in this exercise. And so you can basically carry 13 pitchers plus Ohtani. So I think you can afford to have Kershaw there. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so disrespectful to think of him doing mop-up duty in a blowout one way or the other or something like that. I'm like, I don't know. That seems less disrespectful than just having him off the roster entirely. So I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to provide value wherever they need it. I think I've said all along, I think this is his last run, so I'm not really worried about like pitch him on 2 days rest, mess with his warm-up routine. Like, I think he's just going to leave everything he has on the field this postseason. And so I think there's a spot for him. I don't think it's a glamorous role, but I think it is a role.
So, but Parker, if we're going to put him on the roster, but like Jeff is saying, and he's going to be that 13th guy, that means that somebody in the bullpen is not going to be on the roster. And then it's going to be somebody along the lines of Emmett Sheehan or Justin Robleski, or, whoever you want to spend, Kasperius, Jack Dreyer, someone along those lines. And that means that you're going to have, because that's going to be another piece of your pen that's not going to be there. Where do you see? Do you want to have Kershaw just being a 13th guy that just is there and just break glass in a case of emergency?
I think saying that it's just there, I mean, it's not necessarily a disservice, but I think that you do need that extra lefty in case of you have an opponent who has a low OPS versus lefties. Let's say like Padres, for instance, don't hit lefties all that well. And let's say that Snell, for some reason, just either got the first start based off of however the matchups went or however the schedule was lining up, and you needed another lefty, like back-to-back lefties. I think having Kershaw there is extremely important. I'm okay losing like Bonda. I'm really high on both the names you mentioned, the 3 names you mentioned when it comes to Dreyer, Robleski, and Kasperius. I think that just when it comes to strikeout rate and the stuff, I would really like those youthful guys there because they could go a little longer than Bonda as well. So I'm okay losing like a Bonda if it means that Kershaw can be there for that spot start as a lefty.
All right, same question, Jeff. Like if you're talking about what does Kersh do? Who are you taking off otherwise? And if he's not going to be actually playing and just holding the spot, is that worth it to take somebody off your 13 guys?
I think I'm not like, it's not like, hey, Kershaw, you're going to be on the roster. We're never going to use you. I think he's, hey, in the case of things go sideways, like we've got a guy there that can go eat 2-3 innings for us if we're up 6 or down 6 or something like that to preserve the pen. So that it'll be different because they're not planning bullpen games this year. So it'll be not quite as much of a need for a Honeywell type, but I think there is value. But I think the question of the back of the bullpen is an interesting one, Greg, because when Bruce and I did this exercise on our show last night, I think there's like 13 or 14 guys that are competing for like 10 spots in the Dodgers bullpen. And some of the names that we just mentioned, Bonda, Robleski, Kasperius, like these guys might be on the outside looking in when it comes bullpen time. So when we did this exercise, Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, Jack Dreyer, Alex Vesia, assuming he's healthy, Brock Stewart, assuming he's healthy. Those 5 are kind of locks. I would put Kershaw in that group as 6. We had Edgardo Enriquez 7th on that list, 11 innings, no runs, hasn't struck a bunch of guys out, but that's 7. And then you get to choose between Kopech if he's healthy, Yates if he's healthy, Bonda, who has a 1.65 ERA since July 7th, Kasperius, who is kind of a righty killer, 2.5 ERA over his last 13 appearances, Emmett Sheehan in the bullpen. We just saw what he did. Like, I think he's in the mix. And then Justin Robleski, who's a lefty that throws 99 miles an hour. Like, half of the guys I just mentioned are going to be on the outside looking in. And we're not even talking about in the wild card round if they have to play in it. Like, what do you do with Glasnow? If Glasnow's your number 4 starter, is Glasnow on the roster? Is he off the roster? So I think the Dodgers, all things, getting some good health luck over the last month of the season, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are, wait a minute, Kirby Yates isn't on this postseason. Michael Kopech not on the postseason. Like, I think we're going to be having those types of conversations.
It's kind of crazy. If you just talk about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, we're sitting here talking about this bullpen is a mess. We can't trust anybody in there. This is the worst bullpen I've ever seen in the history of the Dodgers. And now we're saying that we have too many guys in the bullpen right now. And some of the bigger names that we actually have on that is going to be sitting out when it comes to the post. That's wild for me to think overall. So, but
Greg, I'll add, this is why some of us at the trade deadline weren't totally panicked, because it's like, wait until the starting rotation gets healthy, which is going to take the load off the bullpen. The bullpen guys are supposed to come back. Like, it's so easy to be the prisoner of the moment when things are going sideways, but it's like, oh, now Tanner Scott and Blake Trinan are back and they both look competent. And all of a sudden, like you said, you've got 8 guys that are going to be competing for like 4 spots, and it's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. But then the other side of it, Barker, is that now that we at the trade deadline, we talked about it a lot on the Blue Review. I was not as big on getting the closer. I still wanted a closer because what we saw from Tanner Scott and that everybody was blowing saves left and right. But I was bigger on the outfield because of your boy Michael Confuego, is the way that you call him. So
that's a good nickname, Greg. I like that. I'm going to give you credit for that. Confuego, I like that.
Wow, that is actually that is. I'm going to start using that as well. That's really good.
Like you're such a jerk, both of you. You guys are just the worst. I hate you both so much. But either way. We were talking about it's outfield, and now you have Kike coming back. He's back and hitting every single game, multiple hits. Apparently, that he fixed his eyes and he fixed his it was an elbow or an oblique. I forgot what he had, but either way, he's hitting much better. When you get Max Muncy back, and when you get Tommy Edman back, and when you get Hae-Sung Kim back, all these things, again, you have more embarrassment of riches there. And so what does that look like? Are you going to be disappointed that we didn't go out and get a Stephen Kwan still now after we see that everybody's back? Or are you kind of like embarrassment of riches in the outfield again? Is that a thing?
Well, I mean, yeah, it will be a little disappointed just because you have the ability and you have the pieces to get a guy like Kwan, and Kwan would be an automatic, just huge play for the Dodgers. And so sure, in that essence, yes. But then you start having to deal with contracts and all that stuff. So listen, the Dodgers did it with who they had last year. And I personally, just being a lover of this specific squad, am okay. And I'm not upset that no, they didn't make moves at the deadline. As long as Conforto, yes, is not your guy come playoffs, and it's going to be the case. So I get that we joke around about it, but they have the bodies and they have the guys who performed in the playoffs literally last year. So as long as they're healthy, they'll be there. They'll be up and they'll be starting.
All right, Jeff, go ahead. Do your
Well, I was
thing.
gonna say,
Go
it is
go
worth
give
pointing out,
the Conforto love.
No, it's fine. I mean, he, 5 hits and they sweep, but no big deal. The thing about the deadline that's worth pointing out, like Kwan has been atrocious since the deadline, like way worse than Michael Conforto over the last month. Okay, and
The
that's
whole Guardians team.
What's that?
That's
The whole Guardians team has just been. I mean, but they lose
Ryan
19
Helsley
to
has an
4.
ERA that's like double digits. So some of these guys that everyone wanted the Dodgers to go and get have been total nightmares. Doesn't mean they would have been nightmares on the Dodgers, but I think it just goes to show what a crapshoot it is at the deadline. Laureano for the Padres has been the opposite experience. He's been awesome. So, yeah, look, I think Kike, we talk about, is he healthy? And no, the calendar is getting closer to October is what is happening to Kike. And he's like, okay, he's just like, starting to stretch out. He's like, all right, I'm ready. The warm-up routine of the first 6 months of the season has been passed and we're ready to go. So I don't think it will be an embarrassment of riches. Yes, there are like 5 guys competing for roster spots. I'm not sure I feel great about all 5 of those guys. And so,
right.
Unlike the bullpen, but I mean, who knows? Like, nobody likes Conforto. He's been hitting the last 3 games. I joked on Twitter. Like, I understand. I'm not saying Michael Conforto's good. I'm not saying you have to be happy when he sucks. But like, as Dodgers fans, can we at least like be happy when he hits a home run for the Dodgers? Like, the number of people that would almost rather the Dodgers lose if it means Conforto goes 0 for 4 and strikes out with the bases loaded. Like, I feel like that's a large section of the people that are in my mentions on social media. So if you want to crush the guy when he's 0 for 20, like, by all means, I will not defend him. But like, when he gets 5 hits and 2 doubles and a home run in a series and they sweep the Reds, like, can we just be happy for the Dodgers as a whole? I don't know. Call me crazy.
Yeah. So to that point, I did say when he hit the home run, I did go on Twitter and I said, good for him. I'm happy for him. I want him to do well. I very much, because if he does well, that means the Dodgers are doing well.
Exactly.
But the amount of text, you specifically are one of the ones that just randomly say things to me whenever he does one thing good. I'll just say that when he did this last time, he did have a big series against Boston, and he had 3 hits and a home run and doubles and all that good stuff in Boston, and then he went on an 8 for 61 stretch. Like, those are things that have happened. I still don't think he's good, and I still don't think he's going to. But do I want him to be good? Of course, yeah. I want him to be the best left fielder that we can possibly have, so we have another bat, another veteran presence in that lineup going into the postseason. So hopefully, this September is the biggest month he's ever had in the history of his life. So like, that would be a great thing. I just don't know if that is going to happen, but we'll see. We all hope for it.
Totally.
But either way.
And if Edman comes back and can play center field, then you've got Teo in left, Pages in right. You've got Kike Hernandez, who's like the postseason hero, playing second base. And then all of a sudden, like, things sort of fall into place. Again, whether you like Kike Hernandez all that much, his offense, nobody likes to say this, his offensive numbers this year are worse than Conforto's, but you're betting on Kike, the postseason performer, long track record there, which is why I keep saying I think he's going to be an everyday starter in the postseason. Yeah. So, and then you've got Freeland and Kim potentially in the mix, Muncy back at third base. So I think things start to fill out, and there's no concerns. There's just less concerns with the bottom of the lineup.
It's important to note that I was
checking out the LA Times. You're completely muted right now. So
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I bet he was.
I'm sure it was the best point you've ever made. Yeah.
How about
Nope, you're
muted.
Talking to nobody. Yeah, you're muted. So
okay.
Unplug and plug back in.
Let me ask you this, Greg, because this is one of the conversations we've been having on our show. Is there seem to be 2 groups of people, Alex Freeland people and Haesung Kim people. Not that you have to choose, but like, if it comes down to a postseason roster spot between Freeland and Haesung Kim, who both play, kind of infield. Kim can potentially play some outfield, although I think he only played left field one time in his rehab assignment. But like, if you had to choose between Kim or Freeland, do you have a strong opinion about which of those guys you would prefer?
I think not currently. I need to see what they do in September. I need to see what Kim looks like coming back off, because he started off so hot, but the fact is that he can't hit velocity. He's having trouble with lefties. Everything that Dave Roberts said of why he wasn't starting all the time absolutely came true. Now, that could have been because of the injury, but the fact is that he is coming back from it. If he's getting those little flare hits and he's getting on base and he's playing great defense and he's showing his speed, I want that. I want that speed in the playoffs. But if he's not getting on base and he's having trouble with velocity, which is that's all you're going to see in the postseason is velocity. Right. I might trust Alex Freeland a little bit better because he still has a very, very good glove. I've been insanely impressive with what he's done in the infield. And so I probably want, and he can catch up to a fastball that we've seen. So I would lean more towards Freeland if all things were equal going into September. Can you talk now? Nope, sure no. Can't. All right, so thanks, Parker. I mean, you can mime as much as you want, but either way, so like we have another big series this weekend. It's going to be it's in division. It is with the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks been playing better. I think they just took 2 or 3 from Milwaukee. So Zach Gallen is on the mound. He's had a terrible, terrible, terrible year but in August, he's been much, much better. In his 4 starts in August, he gave up 1 run, 3 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. So, and he's going 6 innings basically every single time. With one of them, I think was only 5 innings. So, what do you think about this series? Are you worried about this series at all, or how do you feel?
I am not. I mean, I'm worried because the Diamondbacks are one of these teams. I feel like it doesn't matter how much they suck. Now it's in LA. That's the good news. Like when it's in Arizona, I get nervous. But this is how I'm going to feel come postseason time, Greg. Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto are our 3 pitchers. Like I expect to be heavy favorites in all 3 of those games. The offense we've seen, has scored, what is it? 18 runs over the last 3 games. Like I just look at the way that the things are lining up for the Dodgers and minimum 2 out of 3 for me with Snell, Glasnow, and Yamamoto on the mound. So I like our odds.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's the fact this is always what I've been looking forward to. And I think it's all finally started to fully play out here, right? That you have your whole, and by the way, the chat says they can hear Parker and we can't. That's odd. But either way.
I could hear his computer a second ago.
I heard it too, which is also weird. But so this is what we've always been looking forward to is that you have your full starting lineup. And then now they go deeper into games. They're going 5, 6, 7 innings. So you're only using your bullpen for an inning or 2. Can you talk while you eat, Parker?
Now he's
I told him don't put me back on.
So what was your take that you were trying to get out there, Parker?
I was just going to call back to one of our dear friends, Clint Pasillas, who talked to the LA Times. This was, I think, yesterday. And they said exactly that. He said that exact roster was who he wanted, but Jeff was talking about earlier. Kike at second, and then you do have Miguel Rojas and Haesung actually on the bench. So I know you guys were just talking about the Freeland situation. He had, and that's a Blue Review staple, as in Clint Pasillas, he had Haesung getting that spot, and Alex Call as well.
Yeah. Okay, Alex Call, but I don't know what's going on. Do you know if he had a slight injury? Is he going to be okay, or is he going on the IL? Did they said anything?
We haven't heard an update. Yeah. Obviously off day yesterday, so I'm sure we'll get something from Dave pregame today about how he's feeling, but it didn't seem overly serious. But I mean, in some ways I wonder if like that would solve some of their roster crunch issues coming up in the next couple of weeks. If Muncy comes back and Edman comes back and Ha-Seong Kim comes back, there's kind of one too many guys. You'd either have to send down Freeland or Kim or DFA Conforto. Those are kind of the 3 avenues in front of you. But maybe if a guy like Alex Call is mysteriously injured, then it saves you a little bit of time on having to make that decision. Who knows?
Yeah. Which would be very nice. All right. So we only have a couple of minutes left here. And so really want to say appreciate all of you in the chat. Very, very important that you always guys are here. And I appreciate this is our last time at 8:30. Jeff is going to be joining us on Fridays as much as he possibly can from 6:30 to 6:50 because we are going to get out earlier so we can be set up for Sedano and Cap Morning Show. Lots of coffee with us. But thank you for being there. And please join us starting Tuesday at 6:30 a.m. for the Blue Review. We are still your first place, and we're still going to be as honest as we possibly can, which is as very, very, very honest and probably too honest at times. Yeah. So, Jeff, tell us everything where we can find you right now, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, Dodger Blue 1958 on YouTube. We launched a daily Monday through Friday show that's at 10 a.m. now, Dodger Heads Unplugged with Scott Gearman. So that is on our YouTube page Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. And then we do live post-game shows Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and Sunday nights. We also have up this morning some Dodgers All Access content. So we were covering that event last night. So head over to the Dodger Blue YouTube page to check that out.
All right, that's going to do it for the Blue Review. First pitch is coming up next with Travis. Actually, it's Andy, DeMarco, and myself, and we'll just get all into the same type of stuff with DeMarco leading. Thank you very much for being here. We'll see you Tuesday at 6:30 a.m.
Starting Tuesday.
The espresso. I'm going to have all the espresso on.
Get your espresso in, folks. We'll see you
right.
Tuesday.
All right, thank you. I'll see you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, LAX.